What's up, everybody? Welcome to another classic review. Today I'll be talking about my thoughts on a Disney film back from 1971. Well, you always imagined flying on your own bed? Well, now you can. This is Walt Disney's Bedknobs and Broomsticks. First premiered in 1971. This was the American musical fantasy film directed by Robert Stevenson and produced by Bill Walsh for the Walt Disney production. And before we begin, did you subscribe? Did you hit the bell? If so, you're in the middle of World War II in Britain. You're getting bombarded by the German Air Force, and you're in the countryside of Britain, and you're in the care of a witch who wants to bring these old ancient armors to life to defeat the Nazis. Well, that'd be a grand adventure, eh? So yeah. It's loosely based on the books The Magic Bedknob, or How to Become a Witch in 10 Easy Lessons, which was published in 1944. Bonfires and Broomsticks from 1947. By English children's author Mary Norton. The film stars the late Angela Lansbury, Colin David Tomlinson, John Erickson, and introduces Ian Wahil, Sidney O'Callaghan, and Roy Snart. During the early 1960s, Bedknobs and Broomsticks entered development when the negotiations for the film rights for Mary Poppins back in 1964 were placed on hold. When the rights were acquired, the film was shelved repeatedly due to the similarities with Mary Poppins until it was revived in 1969. Originally at the length of 139 minutes. Sorry. Bedknobs and Broomsticks was edited down to just under 2 hours prior to its premiere at the Radio City Music Hall in New York City. As with Mary Poppins, the Sherman Brothers composed the film's songs, which, nice. The film was released on October 7th of 1971 to mixed reviews from critics, some who praised the live-action animated sequence. The film received 5 Academy Award nominations, winning 1 for Best Special Visual Effects. This was the last Disney film to be released prior to the death of Walt Disney's surviving brother, Roy O. Disney, who died 2 months later. It is also the last theatrical film Reginald Owen appeared in before his death the next year in 1972. His last 2 acting credits were for television. It is also the last film work of screenwriter Don DeGrady before his retirement in 1970 and death in 1991 of August 4th. In 1996, the film was restored with most of the deleted material reinserted back into the film. A staged musical adaptation had been produced. The musical had its world premiere in Theatre Royal in Newcastle upon Tyne on August 14th, 2021, before embarking on a UK and Ireland tour until May of 2022 of last year. Yeah. Damn. Damn. As English author Mary Norton published her first children's book, The Magic Bedknob, back in 1943. Variety reported August 1945 that Walt Disney had purchased the film rights to the book. Norton then published Bonfires and Broomsticks in 1947, and 2 children's books were then combined into Bedknobs and Broomsticks in 1957. In 1961, Disney was in negotiations for the film rights for Mary Poppins with P.L. Travers, A film adaptation of Bedknobs and Broomsticks was suggested as an alternative project in case the rights were refused. During the meantime, Disney instructed Robert and Richard Sherman, the Sherman brothers, to begin development on the project. Sometime later, the Sherman brothers held a story conference with producer Bill Walsh and screenwriter Don DeGrady, in which the Shermans sang the song Ellen Time. During this conference, Disney fell asleep in his chair, a moment DeGrady later immortalized in a sketch. Richard Sherman explained Disney might have been tired that day. When Disney purchased the rights to Mary Poppins, the project was shelved. In 1966, the project, retitled The Magic Bedpost, was placed back into development, with the Sherman Brothers and Irwin Coastal set to resume their musical collaborations. However, the project was shelved once again due to the similarities with Mary Poppins. By 1968, the Sherman Brothers contract with Disney Studios was set to expire. Nevertheless, Walsh called the Shermans into his office, telling them to proceed with their work on the film. For several months, the Shermans, Walsh, and DeGrady resembled to revise the storyline, although there was no plan to place the film back into production at the time. Walsh promised the Shermans that he will call them back to his studio to finish the project. He eventually did in November of 1969. Throughout 1970 to 71, the Shermans again rewrote their musical composition for the film. For instance, the song The Beautiful Bryony was originally written for Mary Poppins for a scene when Mary spins a compass, sending the Banks children to several exotic locations. The Shermans revised the song for Bedknobs and Broomsticks. I didn't know that. Cool. The casting: Leslie Caron, Len Redgrave, Judy Carn, and Julie Andrews were all considered for the role of Eglantine Price. Andrews was initially offered the part, but hesitated. Walsh later contacted Angela Lansbury, who signed on to the role on October 31st, 1969, Halloween. Shortly after, Andrews reconsidered as she felt she owed it to Disney and contacted Walsh again to tell him that she would take the role, but Lansbury had been cast. Ouch. Although Peter Ustinov was considered, Ron Moody was originally slated as Emilius Brown, but he refused to star in the film unless he received top billing, which the studio would not allow. He was ultimately replaced with David Tomlinson. The three Rowland children, Charlie, Carrie, and Paul, were played by Ian Way, Sidney O'Callaghan, and Roy Snert, respectively. Wayhill had previously dropped out of school and began his acting career in an uncredited role as a schoolboy in David Copperfield. He auditioned before Disney Talent Scouts for one of the children roles in Bedknobs and Broomsticks in London. It was cast as Charlie. Prior to Bedknobs, Snert was a child actor appearing in numerous commercials and was cast as Paul for his impish, cheeky look. For the part of Carrie, O'Callaghan had previously acted in television commercials and later made her stage debut in the production of Peter Pan at the Scala Theatre. There she caught the attention of Disney Talent Scouts. Really? Damn. Filming took place at Disney Studios in Burbank, California from early March into June of 1970. The coastal scenes featured German soldiers were shot in location nearby California Beach. Additional scenes were shot on the location of Coffey Castle in Dorset, England. Filming lasted 57 days, while the animation and special effects required 5 months to each to complete. For the Nabumbu sorcerer sequence, The sodium vapor process was used, which was developed by Petro Vlahos in the 1960s. Animator and director Ward Kimball served as animation director. Over the sequence, director animator Milt Kahn had designed the characters, but he was angered over the inconsistency in the character animation. This prompted Kimball to send a memo dated in September 17, 1970 to adhere the animation coherence to the animation staff, but of the heavy special effects, the entire film had to be storyboarded in advance, shot for shot, in which Lansbury noted her acting was very by the numbers. Jesus. During the release, Bedknobs and Broomsticks had an original runtime of 141 minutes and was scheduled to premiere at the Radio City Music Hall. However, in order to accommodate for the theater's elaborate stage show, the film was trimmed down to 2 hours, in which 23 minutes were ultimately removed from the film. The removed scenes include a minor subplot involving Ronnie McDowell's character, which was reintroduced in 1 minute, and 3 entire musical sequences titled "A Step in the Right Direction," "With a Flare," and "Nobody's Problem." The Portobello Road sequence was reduced from about 10 minutes down to 3. The movie was reissued theatrically on April 13, 1979, with additional 20 minutes deleted from the film. Fuck. Intrigued with Lansbury's song "A Step in the Right Direction," one of the original soundtracks in the album, Scott McQueen, then senior manager of Disney's Library Restoration, set out to restore the film in conjunction with its film's 25th anniversary. Most of the deleted film material was found, but some segments of Portobello Road had to be reconstructed from work prints and digital recollection to match the film quality of the main content. The footage for "A Step in the Right Direction" was unrecoverable, but the sequence was reconstructed by linking the original music track up to existing production stills. The edit includes several newly discovered songs, including "Nobody's Problem," performed by Lansbury. This number had been cut before the premiere of the film. Lansbury only had made a demo recording, singing with a solo piano, because the orchestration would have been added when the picture was scored. When the song was cut, the orchestration had not yet been added. Therefore, it was finally orchestrated and put together when it was placed back into the film. The soundtrack for some of the spoken tracks were unrecoverable. Therefore, Lansbury and McDowell redubbed their parts, while other actors made ADR dubs those who were unavailable. Even though Leo Townsend was still alive when the film was being reconstructed, he was in ill health and unavailable to provide ADR for Amelia Brown, so he was replaced with Jeff Bennett. The restored version of the film premiered on September 27, 1996 at the Motion Pictures Academy of Arts and Science in Beverly Hills, California, where it was attended by Lansbury, the Sherman brothers, Ward Kimball, and special effects artist Danny Lee. It was later broadcast on the Disney Channel on August 9th, 1998. Shit. Ain't that crazy, damn? As for home media, in 1980, Disney partnered with Photomat Corporation on a trial distribution deal, in which Bedknobs and Broomsticks was released on VHS and Laserdisc on March 4, 1980. In October 8, 1982, Disney announced it had partnered with RCA to release 9 of their films on the SED video disc format, of which Bedknobs and Broomsticks was re-released later that same year. The film was re-released, issued on VHS on October 23rd, 1989. The film was re-released on VHS as an installment in Walt Disney's Masterpiece Collection on October 28th, 1994. The restored version of the film was released on VHS and DVD in March 20th, 2001 as part of Walt Disney's Gold Classic Collection to commemorate the 30th anniversary of the film. The reconstruction additionally marked the first time the film was presented in stereophonic sound. The DVD also included a 20-minute making a feature with the Sharman brothers in recording sessions with David Thompson singing the ending of Portobello Road, a scrapbook containing 13 pages of concept art, publicity, and merchandise stills, and a film facts supplement of the film's production history. A new edition called Bedknobs and Broomsticks Enchanted Musical Edition was released on DVD on September 8th, 2009. This new single-disc edition retained the restored version of the film and most of the bonus features from the 2001 DVD release. The movie was released on Special Edition Blu-ray, DVD, and Digital HD on August 12th, 2014. Its original 117-minute version, with deleted scene used in the previous reconstructed version, presented in a separate section on the Blu-ray disc. As for the box office, by January 1974, the film had grossed around $8.25 million in the box office rentals from the United States and Canada, with final domestic rentals totaling $8.5 million. The 1979 re-release increased the box office rental to $11.4 million. As for the critical response, let's see. Vincent Canby of the New York Times wrote that the film is a tricky, cheerful, aggressively friendly Walt Disney fantasy for children who still find enchantment for pop-up books plus plush animals by the Stiff Bear, perhaps, and dreams of independent flight. He further highlighted the Naboombo live-action animated sequence as the best of Disney, going back all the way to the first Silly Symphonies. Variety wrote that one may lack in the charm of Mary Poppins, it more than measures inventiveness indeed. It's doubtful if special effects or animation have been ever bettered or used greater advantage. Alone, they are the reason for seeing the film, in which the reviewers praised the Naboombo sequence as not only sheer delightful but technical masterpieces. Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times awarded the film 2.5 stars out of 4, acknowledging that while the film has a same technical skill and professional polish as Mary Poppins, it doesn't have much of a heart though, and towards the end you wonder why Mary Poppins team thought the kids would like it much. Ouch. Jane Siskel of the Chicago Tribune give it 2 stars out of 4, calling the film a mishmash story idea and film styles. He further added that the live-action animated sequence was one bright spot in the story, but felt the difference between the scenes of the sea, horses, and stormtroopers is so great that probably no story could manage it. Bedknobs tries and fails. Fuck. Stormtroopers. What was this? Okay, this was before Star Wars. Fuck. Pauline Kael review for The New Yorker panned the film, writing that it has no logic in the style of the movie, and the story dribbles on so long that it's exhausted the viewers before the final magical battle begins. Overall, she claimed, this whole production is a mixture of wizardry and induced. The picture has enjoyable moments, but isn't as uncertain as itself as the title indicates. Shut up, bitch. Charlie Chaplin of the Los Angeles Times wrote the film was pleasant enough and harmless enough. It has a long, almost 2 hours, and slow. The songs are perfect functional, nothing supercalifragil whatever. And the visual trickeries, splendid as they are sputtery to get the picture truly airborne. By the standards Disney has set for itself, it's a disappointment endeavor. Ouch. Sorry. As for the awards, it was nominated for a Golden Globe Award, nominated for 5 Academy Awards, and won the Academy Award for Best Visual Effects. As for the music score of Bedknobs and Broomsticks was composed by Irving Krostal. All songs were written by the Sherman Brothers. A soundtrack album was released by Buena Vista Records in 1971, while the film was re-released in mono sound. The music score was recorded in stereo, and the soundtrack album was released in stereo. An expanded soundtrack album was released on CD on August 13th, 2002. The Age of Not Believing received a nomination for the Academy Award for Best Original Song with a Flair, Don't Let Me Down, and Nobody's Problem. Our only percent in reconstruction, Solid Citizen was replaced by the soccer match. Parts of the fundamental element was incorporated into Don't Let Me Down. The songs are The Old Home Guard, which that is my favorite, come on. You know which one? Call out the Navy, hold out the ranks. Call out the Air Force, call out the tanks. Off the cliffs of Dover, call off the guards. That's all they have. Da-dun, 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 dun, dun, da-dun, dun, 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 dun. Sorry. The Age of Not Believing with Flair, which is a good one, by David Thompson. Ellentine, Don't Let Me Down. Portobello Road. And it's a funny thing. There's 2 versions of Portobello. You have this one and the dance sequence where David Thompson plays the piano. Saying, Portobello Road, Portobello Road. Happy things are happening in Portobello Road. When you feel like a ballerina, but you're hopping like a toad. Na 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 na. It brings us a jazz sequence right here with all the boys from the Royal Navy grabbing instruments and start playing the jazz sequence, and it's only like a minute. This song is like only 1 minute. If you see the film, it's actually much longer. You have different sequences. You have the band, then you have different sections of the band. You got dancing from the Jamaican army, the Indian army, different segments of each one. I wonder why they didn't make a full song of that. That was actually pretty catchy. The Beautiful Briny, Substituted Locomotion, of course. A Step in the Right Direction, and Nobody's Problem. There was also the stage musical, which was adaptation featuring songs by the Sherman Brothers and additional music by lyrics by Neil Bartram and the book by Brian Hill. The production was directed by Candace Edmonds and Jamie Harrison. It opened at the Theatre Royal, Newcastle in August 2021 and is currently touring UK and Ireland. It is produced by Michael Harrison by special arrangement in the Walt Disney theatrical production. But yeah, people, one of my first scenes of this film It had to be the night scene when when Alantine finally brings the knights to life. I forgot the words. What were the words? Fuck. Makuta. Fuck. Oh yeah. Traguna. Macoides. Tricorum. Satis D. Which of course, she brought out all the armor, all the old pseudo armors, came back to life, and managed to defeat the Nazis. There was one suit of armor that freaked me out and I loved. It was the Executioner armor. When it appeared, when the Germans were shooting with the machine gun, it literally decapitated the barrel of the machine gun with the axe. And when they look up and see him, to see that armor, oh, you better be freaking, they just ran. And they shit themselves. And you have the Colonel complain why his men are run away. Tell him to fight. When you turn around and see that execution armor, you see that face like, you're fucked. You see him holding that axe, that executioner axe, like, your head is mine, bitch. He just runs off like that. And I'm trying to find an image of that armor. Dude. If you were a soldier and you see a walking and reanimated suit of armor, an execution armor like that, you'll be shitting yourself because there's no way to defeat that thing. There's no way in the armor. It's walking on its own. And you see that when the Germans fired the machine guns, they're not falling back. One of them takes off their armor leg and dumps out all the bullets that was inside it. And I think he knocks out one of the soldiers with the other one. It just hops on one leg and knocks him out. Bong. They're knocked out. Even when you throw a grenade, they reattach. Which is actually pretty funny, but I like the executioner armor. That was a funny scene right there. And freaky. I like how the music tone when he points to the executioner armor holding the executioner axe is about to chop off the girl's head. Oh boy. You better run. Oh my god. I want to know what happened to that armor. I wonder if it's in a museum because, hey, it'll be a waste if they actually throw it away. That'll be a waste and an insult. For classic medieval armor, especially the executioner armor, that is rare. I've seen executioner uniform before, but that is freaky. I love it. But yeah. Let's see. It had a budget of $6.3 million and it made the box office of $17.9 million, so it made its money. Good. But yeah, folks, I think that'll be it for today. And if you're new to the channel, remember to subscribe, hit the bell so you won't miss out any of our great content. And also by next month, our 11th anniversary, so let's do this. So let's get our goal of 1 million subscribers, or at least 500K. And also, if you have other movies you want me to do a review on, comment down below because, hey, that'll be awesome. Hey, throw down the comments. Come on, come on. The comments are getting empty. Just comment down below what movie you want me to do a review on. Like make a wish list. But yeah, I think that'll be it for today. And if you're new to the channel, remember to subscribe, hit the bell, like this video, and until then, have a great day, everybody. And yeah, make sure you don't say those words because the last thing you need is your stuff coming to life and beating the shit out of you after the way you treat them. So yeah, see you everybody. Peace out. Now to the briny deep.